Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be showing you how to root your Nexus 6P on Android Oreo 8.0, and this should work with any build number pretty much, unless I mention something in the more info. So I'll be walking you through the necessary steps on how to achieve this root status, and this should be good for anyone on Windows, macOS or Linux, and all you have to do is download one thing that is different, and which I'll tell you about obviously. So let's move along with the slides here. So before starting, you always want to check the more info just down below for any updated details, and also to make a backup of any data on your phone, as during one of the steps, which is just unlocking the bootloader, will require you or your phone to wipe everything that's inside. So all your photos, music, movies, whatever you have on your phone in your internal storage will be wiped. So make sure you create backups of everything that you need. You can probably do your photos and contacts on your Google account, maybe your call log or text messages you probably need to use a different app for that. You can probably find one on the Play Store. I'm not too familiar with this, as I don't really care if my text messages get lost in a way. And yeah, make sure your WhatsApp messages are backed up. You remember your passwords and all that, because there's no way of recovering any of that afterwards anyway. So once you've got that done, there are also a few notes here that your warranty may be void after unlocking the bootloader. But usually you can still get hardware warranty. Say you get the boot loop of death, or you also get the early shutdown issues. You can probably still do an RMA or claim warranty on that. Now this may differ per country or wherever you bought it from. Maybe you bought it from the Google store, or maybe you got it on a plan or contract with your carrier. So it may be different for that, so keep an eye out for that. And of course, rooting and unlocking the bootloader may restrict some Android and third-party services. Now, I guess experienced people will probably know that maybe you can't use Snapchat, Android Pay or Netflix after you root your phone, and that is sadly true. So we have one way of combating this, which is to use a different kind of root access and management application called Magisk and Magisk Manager respectively. Now this allows us to bypass SafetyNet, so then we can actually use apps like Snapchat, Android Pay and Netflix on a rooted phone. Now, this isn't a permanent fix. This is something that can change at any time. It could change in a few minutes right after I've done uploading this, and it could change while you're in the middle of doing something as well. So I guess the rule is never to rely on this 100%. Maybe use Android Pay a lot, but you'd probably also want to carry a card around with you, even though it may defeat the purpose, just in case your phone doesn't pass SafetyNet anymore and you can't pay using Android Pay. So I think with that being said, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'll try to answer them as quick as I can. I am a student, so I might get a little bit too busy to answer questions on a daily basis, but hopefully every 2, if not 3 days, I'll be getting to answering questions. Now, if you don't have any other questions, we can get started on our rooting process. And these are the steps that you'll need to do. So first off, we need to download a few things here. And first up is the Google USB driver. Now, if you're on macOS 10 or Linux, you do not need to download this. You don't need the driver for your system to interact with your phone in the way that we need to. This is only for Windows. So if you're on Windows, you're going to need this, and you can just download it by clicking on this blue link right here. And once you got that downloaded, I also have a folder on my desktop called Android, and this is where I'm going to put everything that we need this is where I'm going to put everything that we need for our rooting process. So next up, we also need to download the SDK platform tools. Now this is just fastboot and ADB. We're going to be using these two programs to communicate with our phone. Mainly fastboot, because we're going to be using or interacting with our phone in the bootloader a lot in this video. So here you need to download the one that is specific to your platform. Now this is either Windows, Mac or Linux. For Mac and Linux, those steps are probably quite similar, although quite different from Windows. But I guess if you've used the command line before, the terminal, you'll be able to use this just fine. I do have videos on that, setting up the same platform tools, so you can use the ones that you've downloaded here and use the steps in my other video just on how to use it if you're unsure. Otherwise, you can probably just quickly Google it, but I might just mention it in a separate clip that I'll put in when we get up to that step. Okay, so I'm going to download the one for Windows. Just click on that blue link and accept the terms and conditions, and just download the platform tools zip file here. Now, our third file here, or second if you're on Mac or Linux, you'll need to download the latest version of TWRP for the Nexus 6P. Now this is a custom recovery that allows us to do a little bit more than, of course, the standard recovery, such as flashing unsigned zip files, custom zip files, making backups and restoring from backups, side loading, and a lot of different other things, including a file manager, which is pretty nifty. And this is also your gateway to any custom ROMs that you might want to flash, such as pure Nexus or, say, Paranoid Android. So of course we need to download the latest one. The download links between the Americas and Europe are the same. They're just hosted somewhere else. So choose one that is closest to your location, and you just want to download the latest version. So click on the link there, and then download the IMG file, not the MD5 and not the PGP signature for the image file. We want to download this middle one right here, and it's about, I think, 16 megabytes. Yes, it is. And last but not least, we're going to be using Magisk to root our phone. Now the latest version is 14 at the point of making this video. Of course, this is subject to change. It's definitely going to increase in version numbers. So we're going to scroll down to the download section here, highlight it in orange, and then click on latest Magisk, and this will download the latest version for your 6P ready to flash. So in the end, you can have at least 3 files, and 4 if you're on Windows. We're going to have, so just check these off as we go. We're going to have the TWRP image. We're going to have the platform tools, latest release for Windows, Mac, or Linux. Magisk 14.0 as a zip file, and the latest USB drivers for Windows. Now I'm just going to enable file extensions because that's how I roll, and we can get started right away. So first things first, we need to go to our phone actually and do a couple of things here. Now if I just grab my USB, you want to plug in your phone, and you want to go to your phone here. So what we want to do here is unlock the phone and go into the developer options. Now if you haven't enabled this, all you have to do is go to the settings, scroll all the way down, hit system, and then go to about phone, scroll down to build number, and just tap that 7 times until the developer options menu is enabled. Go back once, tap on developer options, and then make sure OEM unlocking is checked. And for whatever reason, please do not uncheck that. You need this enabled, and if you turn it off, your phone might not even boot anymore. I know this is probably true for some newer phones, but to play it safe, leave this checked. Now you also want to scroll down and disable automatic system updates. This is so it doesn't try to install itself upon rebooting, because you'll be using a custom recovery, in this case TWRP, and that won't work very well. And USB debugging is optional, but of course we don't need it strictly speaking in this sense. We're going to be using fastboot, and our phone's going to be in the bootloader for most of this process. So let's get started once you have indeed made sure that OEM unlocking is enabled like that. So now this is the point where you want to make sure you back up everything on your phone, because once we unlock the bootloader, it's going to factory reset itself, I guess for security, and it is very important that you back up everything because it is going to wipe every single thing off your device. I want to make that very clear. So once you are fine with that, I guess we can go back to our computer now, and we're going to extract some files and get things ready for our phone. Now we're going to open up the latest USB driver. This is only for Windows, so if you're on Mac or Linux, you can skip this part. And I'm just going to extract the folder inside, which is just called USB_driver. Now on our phone, we're going to reboot our phone into the bootloader. Now we're going to jump around a little bit here, but just bear with us. We're going to power off our device and make sure you unplug the USB cable. This is just a little tip so your phone doesn't go into that charging screen when it's powered off, because that's a little bit annoying. Or you could hit restart, but we're going to power off, take things a little bit slower than usual. Once your phone is turned off, all you need to do is hold the power button and volume down buttons at the same time until you reach the bootloader screen, which looks like this. Ta-da! Okay, now we're in the bootloader. Now it's very important here that we plug in our USB cable, make sure it's not loose or anything like that, and you want to make sure that it is securely plugged in. Well, now once you have that plugged in, we're going to go back to our computer here, and we're going to need to do a few more things, especially installing the drivers. So first up, we're going to install the drivers. On Windows 10 and 8, you want to right click on your start menu and go to Device Manager. On Windows 7, you want to click or right click on My Computer and then go to Manage, and then from there select Device Manager, or you could just search up Device Manager and open that up. Now hopefully your phone will come up, otherwise you will need to replug your USB cable and just give that a go. So I'm going to do that now. Now it's also a little bit dodgy for me because I'm doing this on a virtual machine, but you can see that decided to refresh itself. Let's see, here we are. So this is currently installed as a mobile Android device with the Android bootloader interface. Now this is something that I think that happens more likely on Windows 10, and I guess not too many people know why this is the case, but if yours does install like this automatically, you should be alright using this. Try updating the driver like I am doing right now. Let's just see if we can get the Google ones to be flashed on or installed on. But it might say that the current driver is already like the best one that's already installed, right? So I think we can let this happen. We can just leave it be and we'll test out if this works properly. So next up, we're going to open up the platform tools zip file and go into the platform tools folder, and you want to extract 5 files. We want the ADB.exe, the 2 ADB DLLs up underneath, the fastboot.exe, and the libwinpthread-1 DLL. So these 5 files, we want to extract them as well. So our folder is going to look a little bit messy, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to hold shift, and this is only on Windows 7 and 8 and 8.1. You can hold shift and right click, and you'll get an option called open command prompt window here. Now in Windows 10 creators update, you'll need to go to the address bar and type in cmd because they've removed it from the shift right click menu, which is unfortunate. So this changes the directory of your command prompt, your command prompt to the directory that you've specified. In this case, our directory contains these exe files that are supposed to be run from the command line in order to interact with our phone. For those on Linux or on macOS, you'll probably need to do something else, and your commands will probably look something like this. So to run this, you need to put a // to denote that I guess it's in the same directory and not in a system, like one of those system library directories. So it's not looking there. And then we need to type in ADB or fastboot. So we can type in ADB version just like that, and you can see we're in 1.036. To run these files within the terminal window, once you have changed directories, because that is very important, otherwise you're going to get something like this, command not found. That is because we haven't moved it to the bin folder that I was talking about earlier. So to run executables that are within a folder, we need to go put a dot or a full stop and a / and then type in our executable name, in this case fastboot. Now if we hit enter, we're going to get all the parameters that we can use using fastboot. You can see there's quite a lot, and that is how you're going to enter commands in. So coming back to Windows, these are the commands that you'll need to try out right now. So we're going to type in fastboot devices like that. Now this will determine if our device is connected properly on our computer and if fastboot can recognize it. So you can see that my serial number has shown up. So this is the drivers taken care of. So if you already have that mobile Android device, I'm pretty sure it's okay to use, as you've seen fastboot work with it right now. So we can leave that be for now. And you can see that fastboot is working. Now what we need to do next is unlock the bootloader. Now you can type in this command, which is fastboot flashing unlock, and your phone will be prompted with a bootloader unlock screen. If I just hit enter here, and I'll show you, then your phone will look like this now, and this is your chance to say yes, I want to unlock the bootloader, and my phone will do a factory reset, as it says in this third paragraph here. And if you're not sure about this, or you're having second thoughts, you can press volume down and press the power button to select no. Otherwise, press the power button now to select yes. So this is what I'm going to do. Press the power button just on the side here, and our phone will turn black, and it says unlocked in this top corner here. Now phone will reboot back into the recovery, and you can see that the device is unlocked in this line where my finger is. I know it's quite hard to see in this small preview, but all you have to do is press start, and your phone will go into the recovery mode and do a factory reset, and then your phone will attempt to boot back up into Android. So you can see the little unlocked padlock down here, and this means your device has an unlocked bootloader now. Now currently it should go into the recovery and wipe everything as it is now, and when this is done, your phone's going to boot up into Android. And if you're not going to flash a custom ROM, you want to stay on Oreo for a little bit longer, you can set up your device as normal here, restore from your backup, sign in from your into your Google account, set up apps and all that, and then we can go back and do the rest of the rooting process, as after the unlocking of the bootloader, you won't have to wipe your device anymore. So we're just going to wait for our phone to reboot itself into the bootloader, and we shall wait for it to go up. So I'm going to fast forward this until our phone boots back into Android. Okay, so we're now at the setup screen. I'm going to quickly set up my phone here really quickly, and we'll get back into the tutorial. Okay, so our phone is booted back up into Android, and I've just quickly set up the device. Now what we need to do here is now copy over the Magisk.zip file for us to be flashed, or for it to be flashed in TWRP. So to do that, obviously, we'll need to go down, and you might need to replug your USB if you've left it in after relocking the bootloader. And it should show up here. If not, we also need to change from charging this device to file transfers. Here we are. So on the computer here, we've made it to the internal storage. You can see it's quite empty. Now we're going to open this up, and we're going to copy over a few things, or just one thing. We're going to copy over the Magisk.zip file just to the root of the storage here, just like it is right now, and we're going to reboot our phone into the recovery. So to do that, we're going to turn off our phone again and get back into the bootloader, and then from the bootloader we're going to get into, or we're going to flash TWRP. So we need to unplug our phone from the USB cable, and from here all we need to do is turn off our device again. Now once your device is off, we need to hold the power and volume down buttons to get into the bootloader. Now if it doesn't go in immediately, try letting go and trying again, holding the same button combination, or just hold it for more than 10 seconds. Now, once your device is in the bootloader, you want to plug in the USB cable again, or go to your computer and type in the same command, fastboot devices. Now this is to double check that our device is definitely connected to our computer. So we're going to type in fastboot devices, and you can see our serial number has popped up there. So that means our phone is connected to our computer properly, and now we can go ahead with flashing TWRP. So what you want to do is kind of put this side by side in a way where you can see the TWRP image and the command prompt window. So I'm just going to slide these around a little bit, just so you can get a good view on what's happening here. Now with our phone plugged in, what we need to do now is flash TWRP. So I'm going to type in fastboot, which is the program we use to communicate with our phone in the bootloader. We're going to give it an action, which is flash. We're going to give it one of its parameters here, which is the partition to flash to. So I'm going to type in recovery. Leave a space in the end, and the last parameter is the file that it sends to the device. So we're going to drag in our TWRP image, or you can start typing in TWRP and press tab, and that'll input the file name in the same directory that the command prompt is currently open to. And I think that's the same as on macOS and Linux. So that is so you don't have to drag it in if your command prompt is set to the same directory. So you can see that the recovery was pushed there quite quickly and it was flashed on. Now this step is quite important. You need to reboot your phone into the recovery directly. So you can't let your phone turn on, because it will replace the custom recovery that we just flashed with the stock recovery. So from here you want to press the volume down button until you get to recovery mode, which is in red, and from there press the power button, and our phone will reboot into the recovery mode. And from there we're going to be flashing Magisk and its accompanied Magisk Manager. Now I'm going to wait for our phone to boot into TWRP. You may have to decrypt your data partition, which is asking me now. Now this password, if you don't have one set, you might want to boot back into Android and set one, especially if it happens to think you have a password but you don't. Or try entering your old password if you have tried this before. But in any case, you enter your password or PIN or pattern. Now the pattern will obviously give you a grid to do so. My PIN here is just 4 zeros. You can hit the tick button and it's going to decrypt the data partition here. So this is so it can read your internal SD card, internal storage. Now this other screen here, you can swipe to allow modifications. On the Nexus devices it's quite alright, but on other devices you may have to do some other steps. So only follow this for the Nexus range of devices here. We're going to tap on install, scroll down to the bottom and tap on Magisk, the zip file, and we're going to swipe to confirm flash just like that. Now this will take maybe a couple seconds, less than a minute, and Magisk is going to install itself to the phone here. You can see it's finished without any issues. Now we're going to tap reboot system here, and you may be prompted to install the TWRP app. This is 100% optional, you don't have to do it. And what I'm going to do here is uncheck prompt to install TWRP app if not installed, so you don't get this message every time you want to reboot. And I'm going to tap do not install. This is just a personal preference, I just don't want it on my phone. Now if you do want it, you can press swipe to install, and that's fine. You can update your TWRP recovery using the app that they install. So our phone is going to boot up here, and it should boot up just normally in one go. And yeah, I'll fast forward this step until we boot into Android, and then we can check out a few things that Magisk can do, and maybe some other things you can do with your newly rooted device. Okay, so our phone is booted back into Android. Now if we look at our app drawer, you'll be able to see the new Magisk Manager icon. I'm just going to bring this out to our home screen here. We can open this up, and you can see our interface for, I guess, managing root access, and as well as updating Magisk and downloading Magisk modules and managing those as well. So first up, we're going to check the SafetyNet status. Now, as I was saying at the beginning of this video, that it may not always pass SafetyNet. So in this case, it's passed, so you can use Android Pay, Snapchat, log in with Snapchat, use Netflix as well, and that is great. Also, a few things that you might want to have a look at are the modules that are available to download. So that will be in the Downloads tab here, and you can download a few mods here that are systemless, and you can install them on your phone, which is quite nifty. Maybe you want Viper FX, or you want, I don't know, whatever that you want. You can get it here systemlessly without modifying the system, so you can actually take supposedly OTAs using this. And of course you can probably use apps like Flashfire, Titanium Backup for backups, Flashfire for flashing firmware files, packages, right on your phone without a computer. And there are probably some other neat root applications that I'm probably not aware of. Maybe Substratum, although if you're on Oreo you can do that without rooting, but since you're already rooted, maybe you want to use that. And there are a few more applications that you can probably use while rooted. It just is not off the top of my head right now, but we are rooted and passing SafetyNet, so that means you should be able to use Android Pay and all that. Now if you have any other apps that what you want to hide root from, you want to go to Magisk Hide. So ones that don't only just check for the root access or SafetyNet passing. So you can see that Android Pay is already checked here, already enabled. You may need to find some other apps such as your banking ones or Netflix, Pokemon Go. You need to make sure that Magisk Hide is enabled for those, and you can search for apps up in this top right corner as well. And I think that is pretty much about it for Magisk and rooting your Nexus 6P on Oreo. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them down below, and as always, happy flashing.